Hi, this is a quick tutorial for showing how to do the upper back shaping for this top. And apologies in advance if there's like loud, rainy sounds. It's storming and I can't really do anything about it. So here I've just cast on 70 stitches, which is the stitch count for the smallest size, but you would do this with whatever your size's cast on is. I use long tail cast on. And now the first thing I'm going to do is put stitch markers into, for this size, it's the 18th stitch in on each side. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this is the 18th stitch. So I'm taking a locking stitch marker and putting it into that stitch, not on the needle, but into the stitch itself. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And I find it easier to slip them down your cable so you have a little more space to slip the stitch marker in. Okay, so now I'm on row 1. So for row 1, it's a wrong side row. So for this first row, I'm going to purl until I hit this stitch. The stitch with a stitch marker in it. So purling 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so then I'm purling this last 18th stitch. This is the one that has the stitch marker in it. At this point, I'm going to turn and use a German short row turn. So I have my yarn is in front between the needles. I'm going to slip this stitch purlwise onto my right needle, bring the yarn up, around, and over, and pull really tightly, which kind of pulls the legs of the stitch up. So now I'm going to knit until the third stitch from the edge. So this is the third stitch from the edge. That's the last one that I'm going to knit. So there's 2 stitches remaining. Now I'm going to turn my work again and use a German short row turn. So I have my working yarn to the front. I insert that purlwise. I bring it up, around, and over. I don't bring it in between the 2 needles. That'll leave a hole. I bring it up, around, and over. And then now I'm going to purl back to the last place I turned. So I need to bring this back front to purl. And how do I know when I've reached the last place that I turned? I can tell by looking for the kind of funky double stitch that the short row turn leaves. So here I can see I've now reached this sort of funky double stitch, right? This is where I turned, and you can see if I look on the other side, these are not 2 separate stitches. This is like the one weird German short row double stitch. So when I reach one of these on the purl side, I'm going to basically purl the 2 legs together in a way. So I'll put my needle through both and then purl, almost like a purl 2 together. And now I'm gonna purl 1 past that last place I turned on the next side. So I just purled 1 more stitch. I'm gonna turn again, and we're basically just going to keep repeating this. So I'm gonna do my German short row turn, and now I'm gonna knit to the 3rd stitch from the last place I turned on the shoulder edge. So I've got the last place I turned, and then 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to knit this 3rd stitch. So there's 2 stitches in between this stitch and the last place I turned. And do my German short row turn, wrap the yarn around, and then bring it through the front. And now purl back to the last place I turned on the next side. So on the next side, I'm always going 1 past the last place I turned. So purl those 2 together and then go 1 past and turn again. And then on the shoulder side, I'm always going to the 3rd stitch from the last place I turned. So this is the third stitch. There's 2 in between, and then the last place I turn. 1, 2, 3, and then turn. So here's my last turn. I've now done 6 turns, and I'm just going to knit all the way back. To the start of the row. And by the way, whenever I pass a double stitch on the knit side, I'm going to knit those 2 together. Okay, so now I've done the shoulder shaping on one side of the back of the neck, and now I'm gonna need to do the same thing on the other side. So our next row is a wrong side row. So for this first wrong side row, purl all the way to the end, and now turn your work not using German short rows, just a normal turn. And now we'll start the same sequence on the other shoulder. So knit until you reach the stitch marker. So for this size, that's 18 stitches. And then turn. And purl until the 3rd stitch from the edge. And now I'll turn. And then I'm going to do basically the same sequence that I did on the last one. So I'll always work until 1 past the neck turn. So go until you hit that double stitch and then go 1 past it. And when I hit the double stitch, I knit the 2 legs together and then turn. And then on the shoulder side, I'll purl until the 3rd stitch from the last place I turned. So 1, 2, 3, so I'll turn here. Okay, so now I've done 6 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this will be my final short row turn at the neck. Oops. And now on this last one, I'll just purl all the way back. Okay, so now I have my 2 shoulder segments, and this is the upper back. So you can see it raises the back shoulder by about 1.5 inches, but it leaves out this nice curve for the back of the neck so that the back of the top isn't sitting really high up on your neck. So please forgive the unwoven ends on this one, but this shows what it looks like when you have the shoulders picked up. So you can see there's this like back of the neck curve here, but you still get a lift for the shoulders because the back of your neck is higher up because your shoulders do have a bit of a slant here with your like trapezius muscle or whatever. So once you finish the front shaping, when it's time to pick up the shoulder stitches, you'll pick them up along this edge and along this edge. So when you wear it, this will be your right shoulder when worn, and this will be your left shoulder when worn. So you'll pick up stitches here, and you'll pick up stitches here. So that's why it's nice to keep these stitch markers locked in, because it gives you kind of a signal of where the space you're supposed to be picking up stitches in. So hopefully this was helpful, and I hope you like trying out this technique. Let me know if there's any questions I didn't answer in this video or any parts that were kind of confusing. I'm going to try to record a higher quality version of this before the pattern goes live, but this is kind of like the general overview of the technique.